Everyone, welcome. We'll get started here in just a moment. We still have about 30 seconds before we hit 7 o'clock. All right, 7 on the dot. Let's get rolling. Welcome to Beyond the Basics. If you're viewing this after our live webinar, welcome. We're going to be going over some more advanced themes in Doculife. Not super difficult, but just going beyond the basics, just as the title states. So today we're going to be addressing binder settings, contributor roles. We'll be discussing tags and how to use them to organize your content and bring content into binders super easy. And then also chat about the import email, how to use that to declutter your inbox, how to forward attachments into any binder, section, or album. So really cool feature that we'll take a look at a lot closer. All right, but for now, let's take a look at binder settings. So let's bring up our Doculife account here. And where possible, I will show you the exact same thing on desktop and also the mobile phone too. All right. There we go. Okay. So as you can see, we've got an invitation here from John Appleseed from our Learning the Basics, but that's okay. We'll just hit accept. And there we go. My favorite photos. Woo! All right. So today we're going to talk about binder settings. So we're going to take a look at this particular binder where she is planning a wedding here. So as you can see in the side rail here, we've got a whole bunch of stuff happening that's kind of stacked up here. And how do we get this? How do we show it? How do we rearrange it? And that's all in binder settings. So let's take a look. So this is the new sort of organizer we have on our left sidebar, just recently launched in the past week or so. And what's great about this is that you can determine by contributor role, and we'll talk about those in a sec, who sees what in your sidebar. Not only that, you can drag and drop these in whatever order you would like, which is super cool. So you can have your conversation up top. You can have your binder description on top of that. Binder checklists is tags. We'll be using that a little bit later, but for this wedding album, we're going to hide that. By the numbers is that report card that I was talking about last week that kind of shows you everything that's in your binder and how much it weighs and what type of documents there are. And then the About Me is something new, and that's something that you fill out in your account page here on this right sidebar. Just read this little description about what it does. You can upload some personal photos here. You can add a little description about yourself and then add social media accounts. This is completely optional, up to you. Only the people you invite to Doculife will see this information. No one else will. But if we go back to our wedding binder settings, oh, actually, you can see her About Me right here in the sidebar here. You can see she's got uploaded some photos, just a gal working her way through the world. She's got her social media accounts here and profile picture. And so you can see already that those changes that we applied to the sidebar have taken effect. We've got the binder description at the top. Then we've got conversation here. Looks like she's having a chat with her sister. This does have a little gripper on the bottom, so you can adjust the size up and down and see more if you would like, which is super cool. Then we've got sharing, and this is where we invite people. So she could invite more friends and family to this particular binder if she'd like, just by clicking this and going through that. We went over that last week. Then we've got her About Me. And this is great if you've got a binder where people don't know you, or you just, kind of want to show off a little bit and have some photos in here and things like that. Super fun. So let's go back to binder settings. And so that's what this is all about on the side here. So if I invited people, for instance, Emily Appleseed is an admin. So say I wanted to make her a read-only person, so she could only read or download Then, and if I had this not set to everyone, for instance, if I set to owner only, I would only see it. If it was set to admins, myself and admins would see it. And then this should say editors, but only editors would see it, and then everyone. So if I set it to any of these up here, 1 through 4, Emily wouldn't see it because she's now only read only. But if I switched her back, obviously, to an admin, she'll be able to see it. So you could totally decide who's going to see what as far as your sidebar content goes. And then again, you can drag and drop this into whatever order. So super cool new feature. Just wanted to spend a little bit extra time on it this week and talk about it. Okay, so on the right-hand side here, we've got binder name. You can change this. Description, you can change that. The default color. So any new section or widget you add will take on this particular color, and you can change that to whatever you'd like. So transfer ownership and delete binder. These are two you're probably not going to use that often, but they're here in case you do need them. Transfer ownership is if you want to give the binder ownership over to someone else. And some of those use cases for that are if you have a binder about your house that has all kinds of documentation about the house itself, not about you, but about the house, as far as a roof warranty, wind mitigation report, a survey of the property, warranties on the HVAC system. So if you're selling the house, those are things you're not going to take with you. You're not going to take the roof and the HVAC system with you. So you don't really have any use for it anymore. And you've got this amazing set of documents. You got the warranty, the manuals, the instructions for the ceiling fans, all that stuff in one place. Then you can transfer the ownership of that binder to the buyer, whoever is buying your house. And I'm sure they would appreciate it. When I bought my house, I got a cardboard box full of paper. So if you have it all digitized, you could definitely transfer that easily over to the person buying your house. Another reason for transfer ownership is, say you're using Doculife at work, and you're leaving that particular job and you need to give the binder over to the person who is going to be assuming your role. You would just transfer the ownership over to them. And basically, you're just going to enter their email address, and then it gets sent over. They become the new owner, and you don't have anything to do with it anymore. It's not in your Doculife account any longer. So that's transfer ownership. Delete binder is exactly what it says. You're going to delete the binder that you're currently inside of. It's okay if you tap this by accident. You will get a confirmation screen here. And there is an additional checkbox in here. You do have the option of not deleting the contents of the binder. If you want to keep those contents of the binder and use them in other binders, you could just leave that unchecked and then click confirm, and Doculife will only delete the binder itself. So binders are kind of like baskets, and the contents in the binder are kind of like the fruit inside the basket. So if you want to keep the fruit, use it in a different basket, you totally can, and just delete the basket itself. So that's essentially what's happening here. But if I do want to delete the contents of the binder as well, you don't need these anymore. You're not going to need them anywhere else in Doculife. Do check that box. But that's just what's up with this particular feature right here. All right, then we've got some things over here on the right side. We've got binder thumbnail, and thumbnails are what you see here. This is a thumbnail. This is a thumbnail. This is a thumbnail. This binder doesn't have any contents in it yet, so it has no thumbnail. So if I add things to a binder and I do not set a thumbnail, as you saw, if we go back into binder settings, there is no thumbnail set for this particular binder. It's going to grab the first usable object in the binder and use it as the thumbnail automatically, whether that's a document or a photograph, an image of whatever. It'll assume that particular image as its thumbnail. But if you want to set one, you can go ahead and click that, choose one from your file system, and apply it, and it'll take on that thumbnail. The header background is at the top of the page here. So it's this picture right here. Then the side rail background is this one right here on the side. And you can change those. And then if say you're a small business, like a photographer, plumber, you got a few employees or you're self-employed, you can add your own logo at the top here. And you can have your own branding on Doculife, which is really cool. Then there's some switches here. Since we now have options here to hide or show to specific contributor roles, we've removed those controls from the settings over here on the right. So now what we have left is hide binder, which means that this is just going to not be in your view when you go to binder overview. So maybe it's a binder you don't use a lot. For instance, you're feeding bank statements or other bills into it, and you only really need to reference it when you need to look something up. Then you can hide that binder, and it will just kind of clean up the overall look and feel of Doculife. Don't include on mobile. So if you've got a binder that has lots of video content in it, lots of high-res images, things like that, it could add up over time. For instance, if I go out here and look at by the numbers, we'll see that this binder is currently using 33.26 megabytes of storage. It's got 10 documents and photographs in it. So if this number was at like, I don't know, 500 megabytes or higher, you may want to think about flipping that switch, because we realize not everyone is on an unlimited data plan on mobile, especially outside of the United States. So if you're worried that your binder is going to eat away at your data plan while you're out and about, you can just flick this and it won't download it while you're on mobile. And this is great for binders that, again, you don't have to access very often, like bank statement folders or folders that you're just using to back up content, photos, videos, things like that. And so, yeah, that's a great idea if you have a limited data plan. Show binder section creator. So if I turn this on and we go back out and see the result here, you'll see that this woman's profile picture is now next to the title of the section. So if we're in a collaboration mode and you've got a few people in your binder planning alongside you, it's nice to know who owns what section or who created what section. So that's completely optional if you want to show that profile picture next to the title there. All right, so that's binder settings in a nutshell. Really fun, right? So if we go on mobile, let's go ahead and see what that looks like on mobile. So we'll open up the Doculife app and go to our binder here. All right. Should pop up here on the screen. There we go. All right, so what I'm going to do is share my desktop now so you can see what's happening on the phone as well. All right, so we'll get rid of this guy here for a second. We'll go back to there in a moment. All right. So this is a different binder because I'm in a different account on my phone. However, if we click on the three-dot action menu from within, you can see that there's binder settings here. Also delete binder. So here you can update the name, description. You can change the label color. You can also then click on the collaboration tab, and you can see who is in the binder is invited, and you can invite more people just by tapping that particular button. So then just enter their email address. You can select their particular user role and then send the invite. Or you could just grab, after you adjust the role, you can copy this super handy link right here and paste it in your own email, or just go over to chat and invite someone that way as well. They just click it, go to their email, click the button, and literally in Doculife in seconds. So just wanted to show you what that looked like on mobile as well. So these are binder settings on mobile and contributor roles as well. Another way to invite people is by using the little blue guy with the plus button. So just tap that and you'll get that same screen to invite a contributor, which is super handy. Let's see here. Yep, and you can also grab it by pressing the large blue plus button in the lower right-hand corner. You tap on that, you see this screen that comes up. It's the first one underneath the icons, invite contributors. Again, if we tap that, we get that same screen. Pretty cool, right? All right, so now let's talk about tagging. There we go. All right. So what are tags? Tags are things that you apply to objects in Doculife in order to categorize them. And when you want to bring them into various binders, you can simply enter their tag in the tag box, and it will bring anything with that tag or tag group into that particular binder. You could have you can upload objects one time, whether it's documents, files, videos, photos, anything like that. All you need to do is upload it one time. And then in Doculife, after you've tagged it, you can then just use the tag to bring it into any binder multiple times. You don't need to copy it, duplicate it, things like that. You can just use the tag. You can copy and duplicate it if you would like. However, just using tags is another way to easily import content into any binder that you've uploaded. So how do you use tags? So say we've got this group of photos right here that are all kind of similarly shot in Santorini, Greece, right? How do we talk about this set of photos? And it was this beautiful day, and everything's white and blue, and there's beautiful flowers, things like that. But we don't use keywords to use as tags. These are specific keywords. So if we are on Unsplash, Google Images, or a stock photo site, and we're looking for something specific, a single photo that had those attributes, that is what we call metadata. That is items that describe a singular object. We need to be a little bit more generic when we talk about tags. So this is my personal tagging strategy. You may have a different way to go about it because there's no one right or wrong way. I'm just going to tell you what works for me. And what works for me is to ask myself, if it's a photo, what is it, where was it, and when was it? So you might ask yourself, well, why can't I just use one tag and just call it a photo? Well, if you're like anybody these days with a smartphone, you probably take 100 photos in a day. And those are all photos, even though they're all of probably various different things. And if you uploaded all those to Doculife, it's hard to discern which photo is about what when you only want to reference a small group of those 100 photos. So then you need to have additional qualifier tags along with that to help you tell Doculife, well, I only want these specific set of photos. And so after photos, that's when I bring in Greece trip and say, well, why don't we just stop there then? Photo and Greece trip. You could. Perhaps you've only been to Greece once, but perhaps you're loaded and you've got a yacht and you like cruising around the Mediterranean and you go to Greece all the time. So this was the trip in 2018. So those three things I like to ask to use as tags. Now, how does this apply to something more mundane, like, for instance, a car title, right? You can use the same method, just sort of switch up the qualifiers a little bit. So still we ask ourselves, what is the object? This is a car title. This is a test car title from the state of Ohio. It's completely fake information. When is the car title? So it's 2019. And then make or model. It's a Toyota Sienna. And again, if you're a family, you may have more than one car. You've got teenagers that have a car, or maybe you're single and you've got a car and a motorcycle. You might have multiple car titles. So it's nice to put these qualifiers on there so you know what car title you're talking about. If you've only got one car, then car title is perfect. But most of the time, I like to use additional things in case something happens in the future. All right, so how do you tell Doculife, though, when you enter these three tags that you only want to see those three things? And what you need to do is create a group tag, and this is those three tags combined into one. If you don't, Doculife kind of reads it like an OR statement. If you just add three separate tags in a binder, photo, 2018, Greece trip, you're going to get everything that matches those specific three tags. Anything that matches photo, anything that matches 2018, and anything that matches Greece trip. So you're going to get a kind of plethora of different objects here. So like here we've got one Greece photo, then we've got a picture of a dog, something from Paris, then we've got a bank statement, and then it looks like a contract that all share one or more of these tags. So in order to tell Doculife that you only want pictures from or photos from 2018 that have the tag Greece trip, you have to combine them into a grouped tag. And I'll show you how to do that in a second. And when you do, it'll filter out everything on the page like magic and only leave the stuff that you want. So it's really cool. Let's go ahead and see how to do that now. Now I'm going to go back into Doculife here. and sort of blow it up bigger so that we can see everything happening. All right, so I'm going to go back out into my binders here, and I've made an empty binder called Paris Trip 2021. Okay, so I want to upload a bunch of photos here, and this is where I'm going to demonstrate that magic. So I need to first display my tags, and I've got them turned off right now. So we're going to go to binder checklists, and we're going to do everyone, because why not? And we'll put that at the top so it's front and center. Let's see here. We'll just turn these off for now, just to clean up and put the focus on tagging. All right, so let's go back and see what that looks like. All right, here's our tag field right here, ready to roll. All right, so I'm gonna upload these just straight up through documents so that I can apply the tags separately, because I wanna show you what happens here. So I've got a folder that has a combination of Paris pictures, and then we've got dog photos. So I am going to grab these here and drag these over into our upload window, which is right there. There we go. All right. So all those are coming into Doculife. So here you can see everything that Doculife's doing in the background. That's what these green balls are. If you hover over them, it'll tell you each step that's happening after the upload. Because we do a little bit of processing in the background. So we generate a preview, thumbnail, look at the metadata, it gets verified, we analyze it, and then if there's any tags that were applied, we also tag it as well. So looks like we have something here that says dog. That isn't. It's okay. All right. So we want to tag all these things at one time, right? So the way to do that is that you can use this right here, and this is the bulk editor. So just click that and it'll select everything down there, and you see it gets this menu pop up that says actions. All right, so we're going to apply tags to selected items. So we get this here, and we've got dog there. All right, we've already got that one. We're not going to use that one yet. We're going to use photo. All right, then we hit return, turns it into a tag, and then we hit add tags. And you'll see it get applied to everything here. This one seems to still be processing. That's fine. All right, so let's close this out, and we'll deselect everything. And now we want to only select the dog photos, okay? So that is down here. All right, and then we're going to add the tagging again, but this time we're going to use the word dogs. There we go, add tags. And then all those photos will get tagged. Great. All right, so now let's go back into our Paris binder here. Paris Trip 2021. And you'll see now when I enter the tag here, and it lists all the available tags that we have. So you don't even need to type it in, which is really cool. Add the tag photo, and it brings in everything that has the tag photo. And as you can see, as we scroll down here, there are some things that are interesting. All right. And okay. So then if we add the looks like everything I uploaded was from Paris for some reason. Oh, I see why. Funny. All right, so apparently I only uploaded Paris photos, and they're so small I couldn't tell none were dogs. It's okay. So now we're going to add the tag dog, and you'll see that there's no change on the page. Everything is still here, right? So now if I group these together and change it from a photo or dog to photo and dog, I did this completely backwards, but that's all right. It'll create a group tag, and I'll get rid of everything that doesn't have these two tags. And I was supposed to make it about Paris, and instead I made it about a dog. But as you can see, all those photos are gone that don't have that tag dog. So if we go back to manage, look at our documents here, we can select all these guys here. Skip that one, since they've already got and apply the tag of Paris. E. There we go. Add those tags. Ooh. Hit return, add tags. All right, now if we go back to Paris here, as you can see, it took the first image as the thumbnail. Pretty cool, right? It's a good picture too. And we get rid of this. Everything disappears because we removed the tags from the binder itself. But if we bring in that dog tag again, and then we also bring in, oh, actually, we don't want the dog one. That's right. Delete that. This went all through that. All right, so we do Paris and photo. All right, and we get all these photos in here. And then we drag again and group. There we go. Really cool stuff, right? So there's another way that you can use tags, and this brings us to our next topic of discussion, an import email. So think of an import email like a street address. So Doculife has all these binders, sections, and albums, and each one has its own specific address to send something to it from email. All you have to do is ask Doculife to give it to you. So you just need to go to that particular location and ask Doculife, say, hey, generate that email address. Tell me what it is. So I'm going to open this up here, and we'll see it says import email. And I don't have any sections on this page, but if you wanted to create one, you totally could. I'm just going to create an email address for this particular binder in general. If you wanted to create an import email address, because these are hyper-targeted addresses, like you could hyper-target things and send them directly into an album or directly into a section, not just the binder, but you can go one level deeper, or actually 2 levels deeper, into a section and then into a binder. So there can be hyper-targeted import emails. So you can get things from your email account directly into Doculife, wherever you need them, super targeted. So yeah, so here we're going to create this email address for this binder only. So I'm going to copy that. And just to show you how this works, I'm going to go over to my email here, and someone has sent me a Paris walking map that I want to include in this particular binder for this trip. All right, here it is. So I'm going to now forward this in Gmail to this particular address. And a cool trick with Doculife and tagging, since we just talked about tags, right, is that you can tag the attachment here just by adding the word tags, colon, to the subject line, and then adding those tags. So we're going to do map, comma, Paris. So now when I send this, the attachment is going to get these tags, and it's going to end up in the Paris binder. So let's go ahead and click send, and then we'll pop over that binder, and we'll watch this happen in real time and see if it's pop in here. So just take a couple seconds, but you should see it yeah, pop into this binder here in a second. I'm wondering if we delete these, it will show up because there's nothing in here. All right, there it is. All right, so that map just came in. Now let's open this up, and we'll scroll down, and you can see that it's applied the tags map and Paris, and here comes the map. It's processing and bringing in that PDF. So now when I'm out and about in the streets in Paris, I can whip out my phone and my Doculife account, and I can reference this map wherever I am. Pretty rad, right? So let's close this out. So just to let you know, if the email has an attachment, it'll bring in the attachment. If you just wanted to, say we wanted to forward the support email from Doculife into that particular binder, as an example, you could use the email address again. And since there is no attachments on here, it'll bring it in as PDF. It'll bring in your email as a PDF. So if you've got meeting invites, things like that, things you want to keep aware of, receipts that are in HTML format in your email, you can forward them into Doculife, and Doculife will automatically turn it into a PDF. So let's go ahead and take a look, and here it is coming in. And there is that email formatted as a PDF. So if the email has an attachment, it'll select in the attachment only. And if it's just the email itself, it'll bring in the email and convert it into a PDF. So super cool. I do want to mention that tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, we will having another webinar. And this one will focus specifically on using Doculife for Airbnb hosts. We're going to be interviewing our marketing director to see how her and her husband use it for their holiday rental in France. So please do tune in tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Time for that particular webinar. It should be fun. All right, thanks for watching, and see you next week at 11 a.m. Eastern for Learning the Basics. Talk then.